And we're on episode 11 now of Friday Night Counter Attack. I'm in my new flat. We're in a new year, so happy new year, everyone. We've got three of us on the treatment table with COVID, so that's why there's only three of us today. So unfortunately, Salim and Raheel and myself are all COVID-free. How are you all doing? You all right?
Yeah, no bad. Just want to say get well soon to Arif, Vish and Saf that are here today. Hopefully they'll be back soon, lads. So when you're listening, get well soon, lads.
It's not the same without them as well. We're missing the normal six.
I know.
It's been like that for a few weeks now, unfortunately, but now we know why. But yeah, because it was, again, just the three of us. It didn't feel right to carry on with our normal routine of doing our whole agenda of what we do, the scouting report, the predictions and all of that. So we just kept it nice and easy for today. And because it's our first proper 2021 review of the footballing calendar, we just thought let's keep it easy. So it was like Premier League winner, Champions League winner, that kind of thing. So first of all, who would be in your top five for the Premier League this season? You don't have to put it in any order because I don't have an order at all. So
as in teams or players?
We'll go for teams.
Cool. I think pretty much had what the table looks like, if I'm honest. Obviously, Liverpool, number one, I'd still say obviously how the table says they've obviously missed out. In terms of injuries, you look at obviously someone as big as Virgil van Dijk not being in their team, and obviously how they've still done well to be top of the table. And obviously, Firmino not being on his best form, I think Salah and Mane have just done what they normally do.
Jota being injured as well.
Yeah, Jota as well, who did pretty well, obviously, when the season started and once he came into the team. But yeah, I think they've done pretty well, obviously having other players covering. They're not doing very well now as we speak. It's Southampton 1, Liverpool 0. Let's hope it stays that way.
Let's hope by the end of the podcast we're not getting annoyed at Liverpool scoring. I think the second half will probably begin then when we finish the podcast. But yeah, 1-0 Southampton.
But yeah, Liverpool I'd put first. Then obviously I'd say Man United, obviously how the table is. They've had their fair share of problems as well, but they've managed to dig deep and obviously they're second in the table. Obviously you've got the likes of City as well, who obviously still got games in hand. You've got the likes of Aston Villa, obviously still up there, still in a race with whatever Sal thinks they're racing for. He thinks it's a title, but I think they probably will be in a race for top 4 or top 6 at least.
Yeah, top 4.
I think that'd be their aim. Top 4, I think it probably still is a big shout, but like I said, it's one of them seasons you just don't know what's going to happen. Obviously they lost to Man United, but they'll probably play their game in hand against City, and they could easily pick up 3 points after City, demolished Chelsea yesterday. It's just been one of them seasons so far. So yeah, I think all teams, if you look at them, have been on and off. No one has really looked consistent enough to basically say these guys are going to win the title. I think we can all agree on that. If you have to go around and ask us all one by one who's going to win the league, I think apart from Salim would probably say Villa. I don't think you can really put your finger on a team actually running away and winning it, which is good from a neutral point of view. But obviously, I'd love it if we managed to pull it off. I think there's a long way to go.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. I was like, I can't name a title winner at the moment, but in terms of the classic top 6 that you see, I don't think it's going to be like that at all. I'm agreeing with you at the same 100%. Time. The fact that Spurs and Arsenal can drop points just as easily, Leicester could drop points just as easily, but when you saw Leicester against Newcastle, they were fantastic, and the players that they always go under the radar and compared to other teams. But Maddison and Didi Tielemans is one of the best midfields in the league for me, from what I can see.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to use Spurs as probably the best example, because you look at them in the first few games, everyone's saying they're the ones that are going to push Liverpool.
Yeah.
Then I think they drew 2 games and lost 1, and they ended up being like 6th or 7th in the table.
Yeah.
So and then obviously now they've won a couple of games and they're back in the top 4. So I think, like we said, it's just one of them seasons where pretty much anything can happen.
For a rough estimate, I'd probably go Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Leicester, and probably Tottenham in the top 5, I'd say. I feel like Lampard and Arteta won't probably make it against the likes of Brendan Rodgers and Jose Mourinho in that fight. And Southampton just killing it at the moment. Like I said, they're doing really well. We just need to see if they can stay consistent or not. But that would be my kind of top 5 for the league. Sal, what about you? What would you say?
I don't want to make a prediction.
Bloody hell, this is something.
I refuse.
This is
refuse to make a prediction.
Predictions.
I refuse to make a prediction. I'm just going to put it out there that I'm just going to have Liverpool and Man City in there, and that's it. I'm not going to predict anything else.
As like 5th and 4th,
basically. Liverpool and City for the title. One of them two, basically saying.
Yeah, not United. That's
Nah, that's fine. That's
have
that's
that.
understandable. I
That's
can
your
see that
prediction.
happening. I'll be honest with you, I'm a United fan, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. That's the
Yeah,
kind of
but
season it is.
it's more like I feel sick how just getting penalties for fun and that
Oh,
kind of thing.
here we go, lads. I was
Like I don't know.
waiting to see how long it's gonna take for the agenda to begin.
Go ahead, Salim.
Yeah,
Say what you need to say.
it's not. Yeah, it's not right, is it? What is it? 30 penalties in like 40 games or something.
Did you see how like Andy Gray and Richard Keys just had that full-on assault on Man United on
I
their?
agree with somebody had to do it. I respect them for that. They should get a pay rise.
Yeah, but to be fair, if you look at it really, Leicester have got the most penalties this season. United have had 6. That's including the one in the weekend. Leicester have had 10. But there's no mention of Leicester getting too many penalties, or nobody's even looked at how they've got their penalties. Nothing. It's literally since Bruno Fernandes has come into Manchester United and started scoring penalties, he's triggered literally all other 19 clubs. And
I wouldn't say
that is pretty much.
triggered.
I would say because we used to get penalties before Bruno Fernandes came. We even used to get penalties when Fergie was manager, but I don't think you never used to see pundits and rival fans making videos showing United's last 30 penalties in the last year and a half. I just think it's pretty much embarrassing, if I'm honest with you, because even someone like Bruno Fernandes, who a lot of rival fans dislike for whatever reason, but yeah, he scores penalties, but most of his goals haven't been penalties. And if you compare his record with on his non-penalty goals, he breezes everyone in the Premier League as a midfielder.
No, I rate him as a player. I'm just thinking that the people in the VAR room, like, when they go home and take the United tops off, are they happy with what they've done?
Nah, I can see why you say that. But no, it's just.
But yeah, I mean, I'd probably give you like a top 6 then. I might as well. So Liverpool, Man City, Leicester, Liverpool, Man City, Leicester.
We know you want to say, go on, put them in the top 4.
And then
dream of the Champions League.
Wait,
throw him in there. Throw him in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw him in there somewhere.
Throw him in there.
I'm gonna they're gonna be in there somewhere.
Champions League nights at Villa Park. So it's gonna happen.
Liverpool, Man City, Spurs. Leicester, Spurs, and then Villa and United somewhere chasing.
But wait a second. Surely, if you're saying we've got the referees in our pocket and the officials in the VAR room are Manchester United fans, how are we going to miss out on the top 4? You're pretty much contradicting yourself.
I thought it was any order. I thought it was
but if we've got the referees in our back pocket, I can guarantee you we're at least going to make top 4. But you're saying we're not going to get top 4.
Well, is that 6 in any order?
You just contradicted yourself there. If we had the referees in our back pocket, you'd say United are going to go on and finish in the top 4. But yeah,
you could do. If it wasn't for the VAR and the refs, then you'll probably be like, mid-table club, like 12, 13, that kind of thing.
12th or 13th. With David Moyes out of West, we didn't finish 12th or 13th, but yeah, never mind.
It's all ifs,
I mean, that's the best. It's the best signing you made this summer.
Which one?
VAR.
Oh, that old joke.
We signed them from the start when VAR come, mate. They bought VAR just for United.
Had it ready and waiting. So. That's our top 5, 6 done. Who would you say would get relegated from the Premier League this season? So I'd go for Sheffield United, Fulham, West Brom. I think it's one of the easier ones to see.
That's the same 3 that I said. I said that at the start of the season it'd be them 3. And like, if you look at Sheffield United, though, they've only had 1 point. Is it now, or is it 2 points?
2 points. Yeah, 2 points, and they played around 17 games, which is.
And they lost the last 3. And they lost the last 3 or 4 games of last season as well. So they've not won a game in 21, 22 games.
I think for me, Sheffield United have just been found out by every team in the league, so they know how to set up against them and how to play against them. And the fact that Dean Henderson left as well is a big miss.
Yeah, I think that's probably their biggest miss, because I think Dean Henderson did save him a lot last season.
And it was one of those situations where you couldn't replace him. Like, they're both in the worst situation, really. Henderson's bench warming at Man United, and Sheffield United are in the relegation zone. And they literally just came into the Premier League last season, but they overachieved because everyone saw how well they were doing with their system and their way of football. But it just hasn't worked for them so far. And maybe if they can buy some new players in January, it could actually...
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the January transfer window will see, I think the clubs like Sheffield United, probably West Brom as well. I think Big Sam did say he's in for a defender today in his press conference. So you don't know. You don't really know. I think the January transfer window will probably say a lot about where clubs are going to finish as well.
And I don't really see much happening for the bigger clubs. this year for them, for like the top six, I would say, because it's more about the bottom clubs that need to kind of survive and creep their way up back up the table.
Yeah, but I think you never know. I don't be surprised if you do see. I think probably all of the teams for the top six just go out and get a player or two, because I think the way they're thinking now is like we've obviously discussed at the start of the podcast is it's come to the point where anybody can go on and win it. And obviously, if you probably look at managers, obviously like Pep, Klopp, Mourinho, they're probably thinking if we manage to get one gem in the window, that could basically push them on and separate them from the rest. So I think I wouldn't be. I think I see where you're coming from, but I wouldn't be surprised as well if they were just to go out and spend the money. But
no, I agree with that. That. It could just be that one signing, like that one striker or something that could make a difference. I mean, if you look at Chelsea, they could do it like probably 3 or 4 signings to get back to challenge at the moment.
And look how much they've spent already as well. I feel like trusting youth would have been a better policy than signing all of these players so far.
100%, because I think you look at the players that they've got. Like you look at a player like Mason Mount, that Billy Gilmore as well. I think they're the players that have pretty much stepped up for them.
Even Hudson-Odoi scoring twice in the last 2 Premier League games that he's been playing.
And I think last season they were talking about him going to Bayern Munich, which made zero sense.
And with players like Tomori, who's just been frozen out, and Abraham's just playing sparing games.
He's another one.
It's crap to see because all of us rate Fikayo Tomori from like our 5-a-side, 6-a-side, what we picked under 23s. And I don't see why he's like 5th choice centre back. Even with Tammy Abraham, the fact that Werner's not been scoring and he still starts against Man City. Okay, you want to break and play on the counter attack, but Tammy Abraham's just as quick. He would have finished a few of those chances that Werner had.
I think Tomori would walk into any of the Premier League clubs, probably bar like probably even Liverpool could do them that, but I think he'll almost walk into all the clubs and he'll do a good job. So it makes no sense why Lampard's almost like freezing him out of the club.
Because last season they did so well as well.
Sorry, I was going to say, now when you look at it, it looks like they didn't even have any sort of like transfer plan in place. They just signed all right, Havertz is a big name, Werner's a big name, Ziyech is a big. They just went and bought. It doesn't look like there was a plan in place saying like, we need to sort of address it or join people that play our kind of football, because it looks like they've gone backwards if forwards, if anything.
If anything,
Giroud should be starting. Anything.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
I think the way Dave did, like, look at him when he played in the Champions League and he scored against Sevilla. And I think they played against Leeds the game after and he scored for them as well. I think with Lampard and with Chelsea, I think as soon as Giroud has like a bit of an off game, they just think we need to take this guy out the team. It don't make sense. You look at Timo Werner, I think the only reason why this guy is still getting starts is because obviously he's a Lampard signing and the amount of money they spent on him.
It's like a German Fernando Torres, really, from what we can see at the moment. It's more horrible.
Like a German Scott Hogan. Really know all about him.
It's not great to see because you see all of these players play at their former clubs and for their countries, and they were fantastic. But it's like Space Jam, that basketball film, when the players just lose all of their powers. When you're looking at Havertz and Ziyech we saw at Ajax, and he was fantastic.
Ziyech I probably wouldn't give as much stick to because obviously he's been injured in and out. He hasn't really been given a run of games. And I think it was probably a bit unfair on him to be thrown in against Man City. And obviously because you could tell from minute one, even when Ziyech had the ball, he just didn't see himself. But I think, you look at them overall, it's pretty much their youngsters which are keeping the flow going, and obviously Giroud as well. I think Giroud should be starting almost every game for them, if I'm honest. There's a reason why he's starting in that French team, and that French team won the World Cup. That pretty much says everything.
I agree with that. And the other thing is, like, it's like we said that day, we never want to see a signing do badly, for whichever team they play for. We don't want to see anyone 100%. Do badly. But you just look at, like, Havertz as well, like, what, £80 million they spent. And he's not done it. He probably needs more time and stuff, but I don't think his best form's going to come under Lampard. Because they're gonna have to get him to play. No matter what, somebody's gonna have to get him to play.
I think the worst thing for players like that is when you're young and you've done well abroad, there's a lot of pressure on you. Plus, when you're coming to a team like Chelsea, who now basically everyone's relying on you. You're the biggest transfer for them in the whole summer, and everyone's expecting him from basically game one to just hit the ground running. And I don't think you can always expect that from a player, especially coming abroad. You can't expect them to just come and hit the ground running like that. And I think that's where Havertz probably does need a bit of time, and where it's been a bit unfair. But I think, like Sal said, I think they just didn't have no transfer policy. They just went out and thought we need to spend a lot of money, which, don't get me wrong, a lot of the clubs have done. Only look at all the top clubs, they've all pretty much done that. And but I do think you do need to have like an idea of at least what kind of player you want to go for. But with Chelsea, it's just been with picking. I think probably their best signing in the whole summer has probably been Ben Chilwell for them. I think he's probably looked the most comfortable, and if you look at him, he's got a Premier League experience, and you can pretty much tell that he looks like he's been playing for them for ages. So I think that's what it comes down to. You got to be very clever. I think buying a lot of foreign players at once doesn't really work out. You look at, I think, Villas-Boas, when he done the same at Spurs when Bayer left, he went out and he bought quite a lot of just foreign players and put them together. And I think in a league like the Premier League, it can't really work for you. But
Newcastle are famous for that as well, was buying foreign players, but there's not that transfer policy. But it's happened so much where they spend so much for foreign talents, but they don't all gel at the same time because it's just a new climate, new environment, this, that, and the other. It just doesn't help for them at all. If you were to say for Man City, because they're missing a striker, Jesus hasn't really cut it when Aguero's been injured. Who would you have said would have been a good signing for Man City for Pep Guardiola to kind of replace Aguero?
Perfect for them, I'd probably say Haaland, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think if you look at probably what's available as well and what they can go and get, I probably would say Erling Haaland for them. Obviously, his dad used to play for him. He's got good links with them as well. So you never know. It's probably a transfer we can end up seeing in the future. But if I had to pick one that probably would fit in there, I would say Haaland.
Because he would have fit with their style of play as well. And everyone looks at him, he's tall, he's big. And they always expect him to be like a big lump, like a target man. But he's not. He plays like he can just run through players.
I think with him, what's special about him is he can play a bit of both. He can go into a game, and if a manager wants him to just be target man, he can do that. And obviously, he can play the free flow attacking football as well. So I think he'd probably be number one for City. Obviously, there's talks of Mbappe, but with Mbappe, you don't really know what's going to happen.
Exactly. That price tag just keeps rising.
City probably are the only ones with money, but it depends if he's even going to leave. I think a lot of people with Mbappe don't realise is he's living in his home. He's living in his home country. He's playing for PSG. He's playing the big games. He's winning titles. What would he really leave for until he wins the Champions League? I think the only time he probably would leave is if he was to win the Champions League for PSG. Because I think that's the only thing he really needs to tick off his list there, and then he probably would move on to a new challenge. But with Mbappe as well, he's pretty much young, so it's another one.
Salim, what do you reckon regarding players to watch for the next half of the year? So we always go on about the big players, but in terms of underrated players for you from now until the end of the season, who do you think we should be looking out for?
Don't know. I'd just say take a good look at that Villa squad. If anything, a lot of players in there that have not, that don't get the credit that they deserve. And if you look at how we've come from being sort of on the brink of relegation to sort of top 4 contenders, top 6 contenders, I think it'd be them. Emi Martinez is getting a lot more credit now, but Ezri Konsa's probably one. He's not been dribbled past in the Premier League yet. He probably deserves an England call-up soon. He's better than sort of Maguire, I'd say.
Oh, is Konsa English?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
We've got about 50 right backs for England, I know that. Probably Douglas Luiz is another one, just in front of him. Other than that, I'd probably say Pedro Neto at Wolves. He's looked quite good a few times I've seen him.
It's been fantastic to watch. The thing is, Aston Villa are actually getting the right amount of press this season as well, because you've actually gone from relegation candidates to top 6, top half challengers as well, which has been fantastic. I know we always banter about Aston Villa and this, that, the other, but the fact that even you're playing attractive football, it's enjoyable to watch. And I mean, we did beat you and we did match you toe for toe really the other day. But regarding players to watch, even players in like Southampton, like Bednarak, I think is quality. Walker Peters is quality as well. Vestergaard is really good. Webster from Brighton and Ben White from Brighton as well. Like all these centre backs and defenders are doing really well, but they're going under the radar because again, with the Euros coming up, again, that's what I kind of wanted to allude to, the fact that England have probably for the first time in my lifetime, one of the best selections to choose from. That if you see people left out the 23, like Raheel said before, everyone's going to get annoyed. The fact that certain players will be missing out on the call-ups and stuff. So, Raheel, who would you say have we missed out in terms of players to watch for the next couple of months?
I'll be honest with you, there's one name that sticks out for me, and I hate it that he played for a rival, but I'm a massive admirer of him, and that's Phil Foden. I think if he definitely should be, he should definitely be in or around that England squad. I think watching him yesterday play for City, and as much as I hate him, I think he's a player you can only appreciate. It's like watching David Silva when he played for him. You didn't like City, but you just appreciate how good Silva was of a player. I pretty much think Foden can become as good as that, if not better. And I know that's me putting my neck on the line, but I really do think Phil Foden is that good. And I just hope England do not ruin him.
I think that Man City could have bed Phil Foden in a bit better last season. I don't think they've given him, enough game time. I think he deserves to play
more. Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
I think that if they would have given him at least 15 more starts properly last season, he'd be slightly further than where he is now. I think that
I agree, but I think probably from City's point of view, what you got to look at is obviously the way Liverpool ran away with this. Every game almost City was like, we need to win this game. I think Guardiola was just putting out his best game. I think that's why probably David Silva started most of the time over Foden. But I do see where you're coming from. I think they could have given him more game time. But it's good to see that he is getting that game time now and he isn't letting City down. Plus, I also think if he had good enough finisher, I think Hamza mentioned earlier, Jesus hasn't really been doing it for them since Aguero's been injured. If he had a decent finisher, he'd look even better. And I think that's a case with a lot of the midfielders in the Premier League. You look at them, and you just think that they'd be bagging up so many more assists if they had decent strikers in front of them.
Bukayo Saka for one as well.
I've hyped him up. Another brilliant player.
I've hyped him up from when he was playing that left back and left mid, but seeing him go to a right winger now is fantastic. The fact that Lacazette scoring for them shows that he's actually getting the assist and getting the goals at the same time, and it's just great to see. But with the Euros coming up, I was just seeing who would you have in your starting 11, because I'm quite curious to see how you would line up. And I'm not one of those Gareth Southgate fans that like the whole 5-3-2 formation, and I'd rather go for something a bit more aggressive with the players that we've got and the talent that we've got. So
I think 5 at the back. Sorry, I was going to say 5 at the back isn't the answer with all these quality players that we've got. We're just ultra defensive at the World Cup carpet again.
Because again, playing like a back four of like Alexander-Arnold, Maguire, Mings, and Chilwell would be quality, and then having a front 6 of like Ward-Prowse, Rice, Grealish, then Sterling, Kane, and Rashford. Even having something like that, we've got Rice who can drop back into centre defence.
Yeah, no, I think I'd definitely start Declan Rice as a CDM. I think over probably any of them in England. But I do think also Southgate's just going to go with experience and pick Jordan Henderson. Obviously, what's done for Liverpool and stuff, I think he will pick him ahead of Rice.
Henderson and Dyer as that double pivot.
Yeah, if you ask me, I'll definitely play Declan Rice ahead of any of them in CDM.
It's just one of those things that we just got to see how brave he will be against Scotland, Croatia, and the Czech Republic in the Euros. Yeah. So go on.
I don't think playing a double pivot's the answer as well. I think it has to be either Henderson or Rice in that.
Yeah, 100%. I would have started with 2 CDMs in all 3 games. It makes sense.
It's a joke. We plays 5 at the back and then he plays 2 CDMs. 1 CDM is pretty much a centre back anyway. You know what I mean? I'm not saying get Bielsa in or something, but we need to play sort of 1 CDM in front of a back 4 that can drop in whilst fullbacks push forward. We've got so much attacking potential. Why throw it away and waste it?
And why limit them as well by playing them out of position just to fit a system? It's not something that I'm quite keen on, because you see players playing out of position and it's just horrible when you see players like Ozil on the right, or you're seeing players like
100%.
Lingard playing centre mid for England, and it just wasn't fun to see at the last World Cup. But you find that proper system for everyone. I think it's just probably me just being happy when I'm playing FIFA, playing the 4-3-3 and having everyone going forward. But they've got so many fullbacks coming through, we've got so many attackers coming through, so many foreign talents, like we mentioned last week, coming through as well. Musiala for Bayern Munich, you've got Walker Peters coming through, Lamptey coming through. How are we going to get 2 right backs when there's 8-9 quality right backs to choose from? It's crazy.
You've got quite a few right backs to choose from there. But I think that's why Southgate's ultimately going to go for a back 5. I think he's going to put Walker in there with Trent as a right wing back, and he'll play with Chilwell as a left wing back. I think we all don't want it, but I think we can all see it coming.
What about with the European Championships coming up? Do you see any favourites, any outsiders, anyone really stirring the pot? Would you reckon it would just be a France or Germany type thing? I reckon France.
I'll be honest with you. I think with the Euros, it's probably going to be similar to all the leagues all over Europe. I think with the way players have been, obviously with COVID and obviously lockdown and having games and not having games, and then having a busy schedule over Christmas, I think it's going to take its toll on the players. And I think the Euros will almost be up there for anyone to grab. But don't get me wrong, I can see teams like Croatia going in with a good shout. Portugal as well, pretty good team. I don't think it'll be easy for anyone there, just like how it is with the Premier League. I don't think it'll be easy for anyone.
The worst thing I've got on my mind as well is if COVID is still lingering then as well, like in other countries.
Yeah, exactly. We don't even know if it'll go ahead. It's just world we live in now, man. Which is pretty
you can't even see if fans are going to be back, for the Euros at all.
Do you reckon they'd still continue if fans won't be able to come back? I don't think they should, personally. It's like a celebration of football at the end of the day.
Personally, I think they should, because I think because it was cancelled last year, I think they just have to go with it now. Because if you look at it, the World Cup's going to be around the corner.
Yeah.
And obviously, it is depressing to say, but I just think the game's got to go on. Because I think with us, we'd rather have some sort of football rather than no football. That's obviously from a fan perspective. But I can see as well, where probably players and teams will say as well, that normally when they play for their country, they represent them, they're used to seeing obviously the stadium packed out, especially in a major tournament like the Euros. And I think that's why it probably have an effect on some teams.
I was going to say, yeah, it kind of does really have to go ahead. I mean, we have got the World Cup in 2022 coming anyway, so hopefully fans can be back for then. But you have to remember for the Euros, imagine all these like fans from different European countries traveling to one country just to watch a game. It's just not going to work for COVID.
Well, I do think one of the things you got to look at as well, I think they were meant to have the final and the semi-finals hosted at Wembley.
Wembley, yeah.
If you look at it, England are probably the worst country in terms of the lockdown and the cases. And I think when you do look at, obviously, other teams abroad, I know it's probably not related, but you look at the cricket as well, with New Zealand. I think they were playing Pakistan that day, and they literally had their full crowd out. And I think it's countries like that that properly controlled it. So I think you never know, they might just sit down the FIFA and have a discussion with UEFA, and just think we need to host it in obviously countries where we're going to see fans.
Same with Australia as well. They've controlled it properly and they've got fans back in their cricket stadiums, which is great. But the whole flip-flapping from the UK government has been awful. And like we just found out today, it may end up being another lockdown, like a full lockdown in the UK, which is awful.
Yeah, it is pretty much.
Oh, is that confirmed? That's awful.
Yeah, it's confirmed, but Premier League's still going on.
Premier League, yeah, still football going on, so that's not too bad at the end of the day.
It's better than no Premier League.
It's better than no football.
They just confirmed it. I think I got a notification from TalkSport saying Premier League giving the green light to continue. So,
did your uncle give that speech?
No, mate. I think it was Arif in disguise. That's why he's not here tonight.
It's got the wig on. It's all good. Salim, did you need to go?
Yeah, I need to go. I need to go and drop some food off.
No worries. We'll see you See you later. Take care.
No worries. Take care. I mean, it's not the same without everyone on it, but it was nice to see you too anyway.
Yeah, we just got a conversation going, which is the main thing. So it's all
man, good. It's good to see you smiling after Friday's results, Salim.
Yeah, just for a go, we got robbed.
Yeah, mate, you get robbed again. Mate, but
and where's Maguire penalty was on there. Yeah, I don't want to speak about it anymore. But yeah, no worries, lads.
So Salim's gone, so it's just you and I, Rahil. So we'll just carry on going through a little quick fire round. So Europa League winner, who would you say is going to win the Europa League this season?
I think Europa League is wide open, but if I have to pick one, I'm going to be loyal to my team and say Manchester United.
Yeah.
But I do think as well, if we continue our form in the league, you never know. We might just drop off the Europa and focus on the Premier League. I think if you look at someone like Spurs, they're pretty much in the same scenario.
They always play their second team in the Europa League, which is good, like Vinicius and Bale.
But I think it'll be interesting to see what team Ole plays in the first game of the Europa. It'll be very interesting to see what his intention is. But it also depends by then what position we are in on the league.
Because they've got some big teams in Europa this season. Milan, Spurs, Arsenal. I think Roma are in there as well. And it's just Benfica, they've been quality.
I think another good shout as well is Rangers, undefeated all season.
Steven Gerrard has finally turned the tables in Glasgow for Rangers.
He's doing a good job there. Yeah, 100%. You look how far ahead they are. They won the Old Firm derby on the weekend as well. So
I reckon they would be a horrible team to face with fans in as well. Like that atmosphere at Ibrox would be awful to face. So having no fans in Scotland would be a bonus for whoever's going to play them. Who's your player for 2021 to look out for?
As in so far, or like to the end of 2021, who I think will stand out?
Who you think will stand out to the end of 2021?
I'm probably gonna just, I don't know.
Do you reckon it'll be another year of Ronaldo and Messi still doing bits, or do you reckon this is the year where they kind of gradually?
It can be. Down? It can, because I think with Ronaldo and Messi, I think they've come to that stage where obviously they're definitely not going to be scoring like the ridiculous numbers they were. I think before they were hitting numbers almost to like a century in a calendar year, which is just crazy. But I think this year, obviously, they're not going to dominate that. But I think you never know. It still could be one of them. I think with the way everyone looks at it is, if you win the Champions League, your players are going to get mentioned the most. I think we've seen that with Lewandowski, and rightly so. He deserved to obviously be deserved to be crowned Player of the Year. I'm a massive Ronaldo fan. I think he's the GOAT. But if you just look at Lewandowski had to take here. I think if PSG can push on. I think with Pochettino now as well, I think we can possibly be looking at like Neymar and Mbappe finally breaking into it and taking it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right with that. When you win a Champions League or a World Cup, you'll get recognised with the players in the team. So if Mbappe wins the Champions
100%.
League,
then he'll definitely probably make the cut. He probably will win Team of the Year. I think that's just the way it is, and rightly so. I think if you're top scorer for your team like Lewandowski was, and you go on and win the Champions League, and I think they won the treble, it makes sense why he got it. And I just think that's how it's been measured on the past. I think obviously it's a bit unfair on like defenders and goalkeepers and some midfielders, but I think that's just the way we've molded it to be. I think as a footballing, as well as FIFA as a footballing body, that's just the way they've done it.
Yeah,
I think it's just pick out to the Champions League winners or the World Cup winners.
And that's understandable, really, because of the amount of numbers that just keep going up with Ronaldo and Messi. And if they win a Champions League, PSG, then Mbappe and Neymar will definitely be at the top of the list going forward. And I agree 100%.
Champions League winner.
Champions League winner. I wouldn't go for Real Madrid or Barcelona. I'd probably go Bayern Munich again. Bayern Munich or Liverpool.
I was going to say that. I think Bayern Munich probably looked the strongest out of the lot and most balanced.
They've only improved since last year, even if they've lost Thiago.
Liverpool will probably be in the chat, but I just think without having Van Dijk there, I don't know. I just think
it won't be the same.
I just think it's not going to be the same. I think playing in the league and playing in Europe are two completely different things, and I just think they'll struggle without him. In like if a big European clash does come, for example, if they get PSG, I think it'll be too much trouble for the other defenders to handle without Van Dijk.
Even getting Juventus would be a good shout as well, because all three English teams have decent draws in the next round of the Champions League. So it's just making sure they can get around them and into the quarterfinals.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I don't see an English team doing that well besides Liverpool. I don't see Man City doing that well without a proper striker.
City, I think City probably can, but like you just said, obviously it depends on Aguero. Obviously coming back, he come off the bench yesterday against Chelsea, but I know he come off the bench I think about a month ago, and he just wasn't himself, so they've given him another rest.
Yeah,
I think it might be a clever move by Guardiola, thinking the league's a bit tight, so let me give Aguero the rest he needs, and then now when he brings him back into the team, he can get full running. Because I think Aguero is just Aguero. I think if regardless of how long he's injured out from what injury he has, once he's back in the team, he'll start scoring goals, especially with the likes of Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, and Gundogan around him. So you never know. City can push on for it as well. But yeah, I think it's pretty much wide open. I think Bayern are the only really ones we can say at this moment in time that look like they'll run away with it again. But everyone knows obviously how hard it is as well to win Champions Leagues back to back. So
definitely, especially with teams like Atletico Madrid improving with like Suarez and João Felix.
Another good shout. I think they're pretty much doing very well in the La Liga. I think Madrid they're second behind Madrid, but Madrid have played 2 more games as Real Madrid have. So I think if Atletico win them 2 games in hand, they'll go top of the league. So it's another team to keep an eye on for. And I think for the past few years, it's been like Atletico have always been in or around there in terms of the Champions League. I think minimum quarterfinalists. So
they've had a few finals where they lost, but they won the Europa League against Arsenal that time. I think it was against Arsenal that time where they won the Europa League. But it's just they're the nearly men of the Champions League so far. Them and Juventus recently. So it'd be nice to see someone new like win the Champions League. It'd be refreshing to see that.
100%.
No worries.
And I think Pochettino could do it for PSG as well, so it'd be a good one.
That'd be great to see after losing.
Could have a replay of last year's final.
On paper, it's a good final, but it only won at the end of the day.
Bayern just dominated it.
That's true. Where do you think England will get to in the Euros?
Should I be honest with you? I think they can go all the way with the players they have on paper. Sorry, the talented players they have. If I just roll off the names now, you've got. Obviously, you look Trent Alexander-Arnold, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. They're just defenders. Obviously, you got Maguire, Stones, Chilwell. You look the middle of the list just gets better. You got Grealish, Mount, Phil Foden, Declan Rice, and then obviously you look at their forward options. You've got Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, Harry Kane, Raheem Sterling, Jadon Sancho. These are all world-class players. You look at all them front. You look at their front 3 and who they've got to pick out from. Probably not Mason Greenwood just yet. But you look at the rest, Raheem Sterling, Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, Sancho, they've all proved it on a world-class level. So I think they are in a really good shape. But I think it all depends on the manager and how he sets them up and who he plays and who he drops. But definitely. I do think with that team, they can go all the way. They can even win it. That's me being honest. And I hope they do. But it's going to be one of them ones. Like, so I think with football, it's come to that stage where in every tournament, every league, it's wide open for anyone to come run away with it. You just got to get a good run of games going, and you're in there with the shout. So it's going to be very good to watch. I think once this league finishes as well. Obviously, it's a good job. We've got the Euros to look forward to straight away.
Even for me, I think England can go all the way to a semi-final, to a final, and even win it. It'd be great to see because we've got such an array of talent coming through, and even the players that will be leaving at home. And I reckon players like Callum Wilson, Jamie Vardy, obviously retiring from
definitely.
Danny Ings, Patrick Bamford. These are strikers that are doing great in the Premier League this season, and they probably won't make the plane, or they won't make the squad for the Euros at the moment because there's such an array of talent. It's just, like I said before, everyone will get annoyed at the Gareth Southgate squad that he picks because there'll always be people that
there's gonna be a few good players that are gonna miss. I think we can all see that coming. There's gonna be very good players that probably miss out, but I think that's a good problem for him to have. And I think with the team he picks, he will get criticised on it. But I think how they perform out there, he will be massively criticised. I think especially with how they did in the World Cup, getting to the semi-final. I think if they don't at least get semi-finals, I do think that his job will be at risk purely because England don't want to be at that stage where they've got a lot of talent and they're taking a backward step.
Definitely. But the one thing I do like about Gareth Southgate is he doesn't go for the players that play for the big teams, if you know what I mean, like under Capello or under...
He gives everyone a fair chance.
And he goes for the players on form, which is great. And there's still more players that aren't really getting games or on form. Like, I'm a big fan of Nick Pope. I think Nick Pope is a superior goalkeeper to Jordan Pickford.
Two seasons now he's been on the top of his game. I think made the most saves in the Premier League last season as well. And I think he was in the race for the Golden Glove, and he's at a team like Burnley, and I think he was in the race with Alisson and Ederson, who are the two best clubs ultimately of the past few seasons in the Premier League. So I think Nick Pope, I think he's been waiting a lot for his chance, and I probably do think he deserves it. I personally don't think Pickford should get it. I think it has to be between Pope and Henderson.
Yeah,
I think especially if you're looking forward, you'll have to give it to one of them too.
And especially going for players like literally Pope, even though he's not the ball playing goalkeeper like Pickford is and everything that Gareth Southgate likes in a keeper, you don't always have to be. The fact that he's saving shots like a proper goalkeeper would do, and he's got that command and presence about him, I don't see that in Pickford, and I think that's unfortunately a weakness because ever since that World Cup when he did really well for us, he's kind of gone on a downhill slope since 2018. And same with a few players, unfortunately, like John Stones was one of them, and I want John Stones to do really well because I think he should really be starting, but he's just not doing that great. Well, he's doing okay now, back in the team for Man City, but there's so many players that we will be leaving out of the England squad.
No, it's true. And I think the rest of the Premier League season will see they play a massive part in it. I think also as well, what you look at is, unfortunately, it's tough. It's not good to say, but there are going to be some injuries to some big players. There will be. It always happens to England.
Yeah, with the Premier League, it always happens, and you want to see players.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it doesn't affect the big players, and we can go on and put a good fight out there.
Especially with players like the starting 11s, we've had Rooney's injured, we've had Beckham's injured, Owen's injured, and it's just ruined our plans. John Terry and the Ferdinand racism thing when only Terry came to the Euros that year as well.
Yeah,
and we went to that World Cup with the 2014 World Cup with Jagielka and Cahill as our first choice centre backs, and playing against Suarez and Balotelli for Italy as well. You can keep going back to these players, but the fact that, like I said, this is the first time in my lifetime where the 23 doesn't pick itself. And
no, 100%.
You can see players like Bukayo Saka coming through, Smith Rowe, if he does really well for Arsenal, he could even get a shout in. But the fact you've got players like Maddison who barely make the bench, or Foden who's in and out of the team.
I think the only players you can really put like your money on that will start out there will be like Sterling, Kane, Rashford, and probably Maguire, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
It's just because of obviously how he's been for England and obviously how the rest have been. I think they're probably the only four you can pretty much put your money on and say they will start in the games for England. But like I said, you never know. It's just one of them things, isn't it?
Definitely.
It all depends how the season plays out. A lot of football to come this year, which is good for us. Obviously, with the circumstances, we're in lockdown now. We don't know how long it's going to go on for. Whether it's going to come off and there'll be another one. I think after 2020, you just can't tell. So it's good to see that football's still carrying on. It's obviously something for us to stay engaged with, and obviously this podcast as well is superb. Obviously, I just wanted to say as well, thank you to all the guys obviously supported us along the way so far in 2020, and we're hoping for a big 2021 with the Friday Night Podcast.
It's been fantastic to just carry on, and this is why we started it, because we started it in lockdown, and now there's another lockdown in the UK. So we're just here enjoying ourselves, having a chat about football, keeping it easy and keeping it a regular thing,
Yeah, definitely.
which I've
It's
loved.
something to look forward to.
Makes our Mondays a bit brighter, really. And even though we've got people
100%.
out, we've got Arif out, we've got Vish out, we've got Saf out, Salim had to leave, but it's just the fact that they've unfortunately got COVID-19 and it's awful to see.
Man.
But we're the
hopefully we'll have them back soon, man. It'll all be 6 back over Sunny, man.
Yeah, I miss the loud Monday evenings.
It's been a very quiet one. I think normally afterwards I might have a glass of water even during, but I haven't had anything all podcast.
I haven't even started my second bottle of J2O. That's how quiet it's been today.
Normally I don't think anybody's letting you get away with it and you just stay drinking. But man, hopefully we'll have the lads back soon.
Nah, we'll be well and good. But now we'll just leave it there, everyone. It's been a quieter Monday evening, but hopefully you've enjoyed our little just preview for 2021. But thank you, Rahil. Thank you, Salim, who's also left. But just a last note from me: if you are alone in this COVID-19 lockdown period, just be wary that you've got people out there who potentially, if you need to talk to Samaritans or if you want to get in contact with an old family or friend member, please do it, because after that first lockdown in the summer, a lot of people realized they were a lot more upset and depressed than they were. So even though it's not really my place to say if I'm invading your business, I don't really care. Just stay healthy, keep your mind occupied and keep it easy, really. But thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for following us on our social medias, on our YouTube, TikToks, Instagrams. It's been great to see you and we're enjoying making this content. So thank you everyone and take care. See you later.